Welcome to NTD Evening News. Our top story tonight, the first visit in 7 years between Beijing and New Delhi. India's Prime Minister Modi is in China holding bilateral talks with Chinese regime leader Xi Jinping. What's the message India wants to send to the West? In Yemen, Israel strikes the self-proclaimed prime minister of the Houthi terrorist group. And in the Gaza Strip, Israel targets the spokesperson for the Hamas terrorist group. Controversy over President Trump's use of a pocket rescission. The maneuver effectively sidesteps Congress to claw back funds already approved for USAID. A guest joins us to unpack the political implications for the upcoming government funding deadline. Are weight loss struggles related to inflammation in the body? On our preview of Vital Signs with Brendon Fallon, a doctor says some patients suffer from obesity reinforced by inflammation. And a special look at the 10th NTD International Chinese Vocal Competition. This weekend, the sound of traditional bel canto music is resonating through New York City's Kaufman Music Center.
This is NTD Evening News, live from our global headquarters in New York City.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Tiffany Meyer. Top leaders from China and India are holding their first talks in 7 years. The neighbors have a long record of historic border disputes, among other issues, but they are standing closer today. That says both face increasing Western scrutiny over their ties to Russia, on top of tariff hikes from Washington. NTD's Flora Hua has more.
India's Prime Minister Modi is in China. He held a bilateral meeting with China's regime leader Xi Jinping earlier today. He's here in China's major port city, Tianjin, for the Shanghai Cooperation Organization's Regional Security Summit. He skipped the meeting last year. Xi told Modi that China and India should be friends instead of rivals, adding the border issue shouldn't define the bilateral relations between the two countries. And Modi said India was committed to improve their ties, quote, based on mutual trust and respect. The nuclear-armed Asian countries share a 2,400-mile-long border. Their shared border disputes trace back in the 1950s. 5 years ago, troops from the two countries had their first deadly military confrontation in decades over border disputes. At least 20 Indian soldiers and 4 Chinese soldiers were killed. Beyond border issues, the construction of a giant Chinese dam in Tibet is underway. Experts say the hydropower facility could impact downstream countries' access to water, including India. So what's pushing Modi to get closer to China? Analysts say the reason could lie in the increasing Western pressures on India over its Russian oil purchase. On top of that, India is facing a 50% U.S. tariff. At the same time, India's decision to improve ties with China is raising concerns across the West. Back to the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, the body is led by Russia and China. It's widely seen as an anti-West alliance designed to challenge the U.S.-led world order. Flora Hua, NTD News.
In the Middle East, Israeli forces struck and killed the self-proclaimed prime minister of the Houthi terrorist group in Yemen. Israel also reported striking the spokesman for the Hamas terrorist group in the Gaza Strip. NTD's Jason Perry has the update.
Israeli forces have been known for striking military infrastructure sites belonging to the Houthi terrorist group in Yemen. However, a few days ago, Israel struck Houthi government officials, including the Houthis' self-proclaimed prime minister. On Sunday, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu gave details of the strike.
At the time, they were watching a speech by the Houthi leader, Abd al-Malik al-Houthi. Al-Houthi usually promises in every such speech that he will hit Israel, that he will destroy Israel. They engraved it on their flag.
And in the Gaza Strip, Israel reported killing the spokesman for the Hamas terrorist group, Abu Ubaidah. He was often seen with his face covered, giving various announcements from Hamas. Netanyahu commented on that attack as well.
I note that there is no spokesperson to report on this from the Hamas side. The upcoming hours and days will certainly tell what they will.
Meanwhile, protesters in Israel demonstrated outside of an Israeli security cabinet meeting that Netanyahu attended.
What we've seen is a prime minister that had demands from Hamas that Hamas accepted. And even though that Hamas accepted the terms of the deal, the prime minister is not willing to discuss and to approve a deal that he wanted.
In another development, Swedish activist Greta Thunberg and other activists are once again setting sail toward the Gaza Strip. Thunberg said this before they departed Spain on Sunday.
This story is not at all about the mission that we are about to embark. The story here is about Palestine.
The group hopes to break the Israeli maritime blockade on the Gaza Strip and deliver aid to the people of Gaza. Israel previously called Thunberg's last attempt to set sail to Gaza a propaganda stunt in support of Hamas. Jason Perry, NTD News.
Former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani was injured in a car crash last night. That's according to a statement released by Giuliani's spokesman. A statement from Giuliani's spokesperson, Michael Ragusa, says the crash took place on Saturday night after Giuliani helped a domestic violence victim. The victim reportedly flagged him down, and Giuliani waited with the person until police arrived. When Giuliani got back on the highway, his car was struck at high speed from behind. Giuliani is 81 years old and suffered cuts and bruises, a fractured spine vertebrae, as well as arm and leg injuries. The spokesperson wrote on X that the former mayor's recovery is going well. Ragusa is Giuliani's head of security. He told online commentators Giuliani was not targeted and that there is no link between the crash and the earlier domestic violence incident. President Trump has signed a new executive order making classical architecture the preferred and default style for federal public buildings, as opposed to more modernist designs. NTD's Washington correspondent Jack Bradley has the details.
A new executive order mandates that classical architecture be the default style for all new federal public buildings, except for in special cases that necessitate another kind of architecture. President Trump wrote in the executive order on Thursday, federal public buildings should uplift and beautify public spaces, inspire the human spirit, ennoble the United States, and command respect from the general public. Classical style is inspired by ancient Greece and Rome, and it's characterized by marble, dome rooftops, and tall pillars. And Presidents Washington and Jefferson personally oversaw the designs of the Capitol building and White House.
We have the Greek architecture showcasing columns in the Supreme Court, which symbolizes the democracy and civic participation. And then the Roman architecture influenced the domes in the U.S. Capitol, represents the strength and governance, basically.
But in the 1960s, the federal government replaced traditional designs with modernist and brutalist styles, which are characterized by a massive, blocky cube shape with a large amount of concrete. The Trump administration says the brutalist style has been highly unappealing to the general public.
It was adopted in the U.S. during the post-war period for its cost effectiveness, durability, and functional focus.
On day one in office, Trump directed his team to provide recommendations to improve architecture and beautify Washington, D.C.
My father said to me, when you see a restaurant and you want to go and you want to have dinner, and then you go up to the front door and it's dirty, turn around and go back because the kitchen's dirty. It's the same thing with the Capitol of the United States of America. If it's dirty and unsafe, it sets a bad tone for the rest of the world.
This is actually an order that President Trump signed during his first term, but it was quickly rescinded by the Biden administration. Trump has already made changes to the White House, including paving out a seating area with yellow striped umbrellas in the Rose Garden. He also installed 2 giant flag poles on each side of the White House waving American flags. And next month, he'll start construction of a $200 million ballroom there. Trump is funding all of these White House projects out of his own pocket with some help from donors. Reporting by Jack Bradley, NTD News.
And what do Americans think about the change in D.C.? Should federal buildings embrace the style of traditional Greco-Roman architecture? NTD's Sam Wong was out on the National Mall in D.C. to hear from the people.
How do you think this picture on my phone is compared to the one architecture behind you?
I prefer this behind me to that.
And why do you think that is?
I think that this just represents the age of our country, and it's an old look. That looks like more kind of Warsaw Pact.
Well, that's amazing. That's well, this is historical. It's beautiful, and that looks a bit Orwellian to me.
You know, if it all blends in with the grand scheme of things, it doesn't look too bad to me.
Does it fit in with this style? No, but I mean, there are a lot of areas in DC that look like that, though.
Kind of industrial looking, tell you the truth.
Blocky, kind of mid-century maybe looking.
Yeah, it could use a little dressing up, I guess. But I think more importantly for the future, make some architecture that we all are proud of. You know, you go to big cities in Europe and you see all sorts of things that are beautiful. Or for that matter, Chicago's got wonderful architecture.
President Trump signed in the executive order just recently, basically requiring all federal buildings to embrace classical architecture. What are your thoughts on that?
I feel like we got bigger problems to solve for the president to be weighing in on that level of detail.
Well, the guy's a builder. I guess that's his first passion, right? He wants to worry about what color everything is. Everything's matching. So, I mean, it's all right. It don't look bad.
I'm not opposed to renovating and upgrading buildings and trying to make them more, alike. I'm not opposed to that.
I like it. I mean, that's what I'm getting at. You know, don't just make a bunch of blocks and windows. Make it something that we can be proud of.
If you want to make it that way going forward, I guess that's one thing, but I don't see the need to force a bunch of money spending on what already exists unless it's actually falling apart or breaking or something like that. I mean, classical's great, but I don't know, modern's good too.
Well, I think it's being from Europe, I get that. I mean, it is beautiful, and you should preserve these things because they're part of your history.
Ukraine is reporting Russian attacks in multiple areas throughout the weekend. Moscow suggests it's up to Kyiv to stop the fighting. NTD's international correspondent Arian Pastar has the latest.
Firefighters in Ukraine are dealing with the aftermath of a reported Russian attack on Sunday. Ukrainian officials say the overnight attack left almost 30,000 civilians in the southern Odessa region without electricity. According to Ukraine's largest private energy producer, the attack damaged 4 power facilities. This comes just one day after an attack on a different Ukrainian region, which reportedly killed 1 and injured 24. According to the local governor, the Saturday attack also damaged 14 residential buildings. Russia reportedly attacked with over 500 drones and almost 50 missiles. Amid the attacks, U.S. Ambassador to NATO Matt Whitaker says the U.S. is giving Ukraine deeper strike capabilities to defend itself. Here's what he told Fox News on Friday.
President Trump's making sure, one, that Ukraine can continue to defend itself, and by giving them some deeper strike capabilities that obviously could help them offensively. They've already taken out about 20% of Russia's oil refining capacity in the last month.
Russia, meanwhile, claims European nations are hindering peace efforts, empowering Ukraine to continue the fighting.
We are ready to resolve the problem by political and diplomatic means, but until we see reciprocity from Kyiv, we will continue.
The spokesman added that he believes the U.S., in contrast, has been trying to bring peace. Arian Pastar, NTD News.
Coming up, controversy over President Trump's use of a pocket rescission. The maneuver effectively sidesteps Congress to claw back funds already approved for USAID. A guest joins us to unpack the political implications for the upcoming government funding deadline. And are weight loss struggles related to inflammation in the body? On our preview of Vital Signs with Brendon Fallon, a doctor says some patients suffer from obesity reinforced by inflammation. Find out more in just a minute, right after this quick break.
Shenyun Creations, the streaming platform from Shenyun, featuring world-class dance, past programs, and all original music. Masterclasses, behind the scenes, comedy, and more. Explore shenyuncreations.com.
Is deep sea fish oil really healthy? Due to pollution in the oceans, most fish contain heavy metal elements and radioactive substances. That's why it's so important to choose a pure source of omega-3. Puritan Green Vegetable Omega-3 is made from purslane and perilla seeds, which are rich in nutrients and minerals. It effectively improves brain power and is beneficial to the heart's health. Puritang Green Vegetable Omega-3. Eat 2 a day and you'll feel brand new.
You are not hidden. There's never been a moment you were forgotten. You are not hopeless. Though you have been broken, your innocence stolen. I hear your SOS, your SOS. I will send out an army to find you in the middle of the darkest night. It's true, I will rescue you.
On streets across America, young people are homeless, abused, in danger. Covenant House is helping young people with nowhere else to turn. But the need is overwhelming. Please call or go online now with your gift of $19 a month. You'll help provide hot meals, safe shelter, medical care, and love to more than 2,000 young people who sleep at a Covenant House every night. Homeless young people are afraid and alone. Your monthly donation right now will show them they are loved and safe.
I have no words to express how Covenant House changed my life.
Call or go online now and give just $19 a month. We'll send you this comforting blanket as a reminder of the difference you're making in a young person's life. Call or go online now to safeplacetosleep.org.
Welcome back. I'm Tiffany Meyer. The latest in the Trump administration's efforts to claw back funding. President Trump canceling $4.9 billion in congressionally approved funds for USAID. President Trump using something known as a pocket rescission that effectively sidesteps Congress. Here to break down the political implications of this is Rod Martin, founder and CEO of Martin Capital. Rod, thank you so much for joining us. Great to have you here. First, how significant is this move, especially considering the last time it was invoked was by President Reagan in 1983?
Well, it's very significant. And the truth is, it's very creative. As you said, Ronald Reagan did it. Jimmy Carter did it, which demonstrates that even the party that originally passed the Impoundment Control Act understood this to be legal. And the way it works is very simple. The president has the opportunity to ask Congress for rescissions of appropriated spending. However, the fiscal year ends on September 30. And if he submits that request prior to that, but they don't act within the 45 days leading up to the end of the fiscal year, it's automatically effective. And what this does is it creates an opportunity, if this test case works, for the president to do much, much larger pocket rescissions in future years.
Now, on that note, there is a lot of controversy around it, including, say, the Government Accountability Office saying that pocket rescissions are illegal as Congress holds the power of the purse. On the other hand, you have the Office of Management and Budget posting on X, quote, President Trump canceled $4.9 billion in America last foreign aid using a pocket rescission, adding President Trump will always put America first. How are you viewing this use of pocket rescissions here?
Well, again, the very first one was by Jimmy Carter in 1977. The Impoundment Control Act was passed in 1974 by the Democrats. This is a Democrat president with a veto-proof majority in the Senate. He had 68 senators at the time, and he did it, and it was fine. This tells us that congressional intent from the beginning was that this sort of thing would be admittedly creative, but absolutely legal. And I think the president will prevail.
Now you have people like Senator Susan Collins, chair of the Senate Appropriations Committee, saying in a statement, quote, instead of this attempt to undermine the law, the appropriate way is to identify ways to reduce excessive spending through the bipartisan annual appropriations process. Do you see more of that going forward or other uses of the Impoundment Control Act?
I think we're going to see the president use every tool at his disposal. We saw a great rescissions package back in the summer. It's very effective, not just in terms of the quantity of dollars clawed back, but in terms of their effect. He basically shut down state-sponsored media in the United States, a very big deal. He also shut down a lot of the corrupt slush fund that used to be USAID. This pocket rescission goes after much of the rest of the USAID funding, and the legitimate programs of that corrupt agency have been subsumed under the State Department. Russ Vought, who is the head of the Office of Management and Budget and a wonderful guy and a great friend of mine, is leading the effort to shut down that agency. And this pocket rescission will enable the culmination of that.
And Rod, expanding on that, Congress has an October 1st deadline to avert a government shutdown. You already have Democrats hinting at stalling a funding bill if Republicans don't push back against President Trump's pocket rescission. What do you see as the political impact of all of this?
Well, I encourage the Democrats to do exactly that. I don't know how they could make Republicans any happier than by closing down the government for some period of time, being responsible for people's checks not showing up when they're supposed to, and trying to blame it on President Trump when everybody knows that the only reason they're doing it is because they want more funding for their corrupt slush fund at USAID. I think this will blow up in Chuck Schumer's face, and it will be wonderful for us in the midterms.
A lot to watch for sure. Rod Martin, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Cybersecurity threats linked to China are once again in the spotlight. More than 20 agencies have signed on to a new cyber advisory. It urges companies and governments to actively search for cyber threats. Here are the details on the new report.
Cyber and intelligence agencies from the U.S. and more than 20 other countries put out a joint warning Wednesday. They outline how Chinese government-backed hackers broke into major American telecom networks last year and urged companies to start looking for signs of that same activity. The FBI now says this campaign has breached more than 80 countries, according to a report from the Wall Street Journal. The joint advisory links the campaign uncovered last year, known as Salt Typhoon, to 3 Chinese companies, including 2 never before publicly named. The head of FBI Cyber Division says the incident shows the need for closer cooperation with international partners to detect and stop these attacks as early as possible. At the same time, the Pentagon is addressing a different China-related cybersecurity risk involving Microsoft. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth says the company used Chinese engineers to service sensitive Pentagon cloud systems. The Obama-era program called Digital Escorts has been running for almost a decade.
For nearly a decade, Microsoft has used Chinese coders, remotely supervised by U.S. contractors, to support sensitive DoD cloud systems. The program was designed to comply with contracting rules, but it exposed the department to unacceptable risk. I mean, if you're thinking America first and common sense, this doesn't pass either of those tests.
Hegseth says the Department of Defense has launched 2 investigations, one by outside auditors and another in-house, to determine whether Chinese workers embedded malicious code. Hegseth also said Chinese coders would no longer service the Pentagon's cloud systems.
The use of Chinese nationals to service Department of Defense cloud environments, it's over. We've issued a formal letter of concern to Microsoft documenting this breach of trust, and we're requiring a third-party audit of Microsoft's digital escort program, including the code and the submissions by Chinese nationals. This audit will be free of charge for U.S. taxpayers.
In July, Microsoft said it has stopped using China-based engineers. Meanwhile, cyber officials say China's espionage campaigns are not slowing down. They're warning U.S. allies and American companies to lock down their systems before the next breach.
When protesters come with a paycheck, who's really speaking? This isn't just an isolated case. Independent journalist Nate Friedman has been investigating a growing trend in major U.S. cities, including New York and Washington, D.C. Earlier, we spoke with him to dig into who's behind these paid protesters and what's really at stake. It seems lately more and more in the headlines are protests over all sorts of issues, but are these organic or are they paid for? Well, we have with us a very special guest. He's an independent journalist who's found out these are paid protesters. So Nate Friedman, thank you so much for joining us. Great to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
So talk to us about, how you found out a lot of these are paid protesters. Did you go in there knowing this, or did you find this out organically?
No, I found it out organically, actually. So there was a big Tesla takedown protest in downtown New York City, and I was struck by how Elon was loved by the left prior to Trump winning. And I saw things switch on a dime, and not just against him, but calling him a Nazi. And as a Jew who had family who've died in the Holocaust, I took that to heart. So I wanted to know what was really going on. So when I went there, I immediately was confronted by a woman who had a troll sign and just followed me. So she looked to have a picture of me on her phone as one of the people sort of that they have to ensure that can't ask questions there, which is pretty crazy. And then I was trying to do any kind of interviews I could, and more protesters would come in with big right-wing troll arrows, and they would have teammates that would beg the person that I'm trying to interview to not do the interview. So that's when I realized, okay, this is not organic.
Wow. So you were just going up to people being like, hey, why are you here? And people were, first off, they had a photo of you. So they knew who you were.
Yeah, they knew who I was. They were taking more photos to intimidate me, but she knew who I was right when I walked in.
That is crazy. Well, often it's been said to follow the money. So in this case, I assume you followed the money. Where did the money lead?
Sure. So for this particular protest, it was funded by Rise and Resist, which is funded by George Soros. And you can see that they take money through Act Blue. Act Blue is the Democrat fundraising platform. So People's Forum, which I'm sure we'll talk about later, but also has to do with with Rise and Resist, because People's Forum is also funding Rise and Resist as well. So yeah.
That's a lot. Speaking of People's Forum, I know you've spoken to someone named David Chung a couple times. Speaking might be a bit generous since you were saying no comment, but we actually have a clip of you trying to speak to him. So let's actually roll that now, and then we'll have you comment.
Of course.
Yo, what's up, David? See you again, man. You want to talk at all about the last video? No, I'm good. What did you think of it? No comment. Did I get anything wrong? No comment. You got no comment? Bro, they're paying you $80K a year to protest? Is that wrong? Is that wrong? Tell me if it's wrong. No comment. Do you think that, what's that? You gonna stop him from interviewing me? What do you want to prevent him to say? Getting ready to march.
Right, so there's a couple different times you ran into him. There's a lot to unpack there. There's a lot of money thrown around, the group he's with, but break down for us a bit. Who is he? What group is he with? And, why were you trying to talk to him?
So how I met David Chung was I was trying to speak to a protester who had a large flag that said, Allah is the only God. And I wanted to just have a conversation with him. This was after Trump struck Iran, and I wanted to know what was going on. So David Chung immediately comes over to prevent the interview. I didn't know who David was at the time, but he said, we're getting ready to march, which is blatantly saying that he's organizing everything. So looking into David, I saw that on the 990 forums of the People's Forum, he is getting paid $75,000 a year to protest. I asked him about $80K, hoping that he might correct me and say, no, it's actually $75K a year to protest, but I gave him a chance to speak his mind about it, but he refused.
That is insane. So $75,000 to protest.
Yeah. Crazy, right?
So he's with something called the People's Forum. Where is that kind of money coming from? Who's funding People's Forum?
Yeah, so Roy Neville Singham, who is a billionaire Marxist, which obviously, it's hard to believe, but yes, he sold his IT consulting firm to a private equity firm for $775 million, $785 million. And they had firms in China when he sold it to them, so there could be something there. Anyway, he's given over $20 million to the People's Forum through something called a donor advised fund, which is when you don't want people to know where the money's coming from, you put it through what was called the Goldman Sachs Philanthropy Fund. So it's not traced back to Roy Neville Singham. However, investigations absolutely revealed that it was. And then later on, People's Forum said, we'd like to thank our comrade, Roy Neville Singham, for supporting us. So, yeah.
They even use that language, comrade.
Yeah.
Insane. So Roy Neville Singham, there's a lot of reports about him, quite controversial, right? Ties to China, as you mentioned. Marxist, billionaire. So the ideology of supporting socialism or eventually communism, but with a lot of money to actually produce change, if you will, in that direction. So what is his goal with funding all of this protest?
Yeah, so you can see that at the People's Forum, they have a bookstore in downtown New York, and you can see that they've actually doing classes on Marxism and socialism, and they have a lot of young people that come in to learn about it, and they put a very positive spin on Marxism and socialism that historically has never worked. But young people come in through their hatred of Zionism, so they use Zionism as a springboard to get them into socialism and Marxism. So It's an effective way to do things, actually.
But with all the different areas covered today, any final thoughts you'd like to share?
Well, I would just ask that people really wake up to what's going on. Over 20 protests, and just to look and see that these people are being paid, but a lot of these folks are getting indoctrinated through colleges, through things like the People's Forum, and to understand that Mamdani looks to be getting elected, and that means that young people are pro-socialism. Socialism has never worked, so it's time to wake up.
All right, well, Nate Friedman, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
To watch the full interview, visit ntd.com. And coming up, are weight loss struggles related to inflammation in the body? On our preview of Vital Signs with Brendon Fallon, a doctor says some patients suffer from obesity reinforced by inflammation. And a special look at the 10th NTD International Chinese Vocal Competition. This weekend, the sound of traditional bel canto music is resonating through New York City's Kaufman Music Center. Find out more in just a minute after this quick break.
We said we'd never give in to a meltdown.
Okay.
And we'd never babysit with a screen. We said we'd never let the toys take over.
Mariella!
Never leave the house looking, well, and never let them out of our sight. Skylar, come here. Cars get hot fast, and kids can be at risk. Before you leave the car, always stop, look, lock.
There is a road laid out for me.
Boxes everywhere. And this is gonna be Addie's room.
I am blind,
You're really gonna like it.
I hope so. Yeah. I know this road is there for me. There is a long way.
First night here, but Amy seems cool.
The way it's down by the river. I am blind, but I need not see.
I got this.
I know this road is there for me.
Okay.
If I'm really free, take me down to the river and wash me.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome back. I'm Tiffany Meyer. Are weight loss struggles related to inflammation in the body? What factors trigger inflammation and how can they be identified? In this preview of Vital Signs, Brendon Fallon speaks with a doctor who says some patients suffer from obesity reinforced by inflammation.
What happens in our bodies when we have inflammation? And when does this function that's meant to defend us start to become harmful? In covering every health topic from joint pain to Alzheimer's disease, we see inflammation come up time and time again. And the matter of weight loss is no exception.
now I have 25 pounds on me I can't get rid of. We're seeing it so commonly, and when we do an investigation and a workup, we realize they got a lot of inflammation going on in their body that they didn't realize.
Today we welcome back rehabilitation and pain medicine specialist Dr. Damon Noto to highlight the connection between controlling inflammation and losing weight. What is the interplay between gut health, stress, sleep, and curbing inflammation to lose weight? How do we find out if we have inflammation? And how has it influenced the obesity epidemic in this post-pandemic age? Welcome to Vital Signs, where we look at how to get healthier from all angles, from the biochemical and nutritional to the things we do that nourish our minds and our souls. I'm Brendon Fallon. Using a functional medicine approach which treats the whole person alongside the illness symptoms, Dr. Noto is guiding a number of patients to lose weight. Dr. Damon Noto, welcome back to Vital Signs.
My pleasure.
Great to have you back again. And to continue on from our previous episode, looking at some forefront medications and supplements that are being used to help people lose weight. And what came out of that discussion naturally was, if these meds aren't working or these supplements aren't working, what might have been missed in the process of why this person is having trouble losing weight.
Exactly.
And inflammation flashes up immediately. So how does inflammation factor into weight loss?
We have come to learn inflammation plays a great role in the ability of people to lose weight. There's a subset of patients that come to us, no matter what they do, they cannot lose weight. They come, doc, I'm not eating that much, I'm following a strict diet, I'm exercising all the time, but the weight just doesn't seem to come off. And one of the most common reasons is because they have a lot of inflammation in their body that they didn't realize that they had. And once we address that inflammation, their ability to lose weight or drop the pounds is greatly increased.
Before I started doing the show, even I wasn't that clear on what inflammation exactly is. So, Dr. Noto, could you give us a rough outline of what is inflammation exactly?
So inflammation is actually the body's natural response to help with an injury. So when you have something going wrong in your body kicks in this inflammation cascade or inflammation response, which is the cascade to actually help that area heal. So inflammation inherently is not a bad thing. The problem is chronic inflammation. So it's this process that goes on that doesn't shut off and is chronically there. And what happens when inflammation is there for a prolonged period of time, it stops circulation, it stops blood flow, and it affects metabolism in that area. So it's a process that in the beginning is good, but when you have it going on for a long period of time, becomes detrimental and unhealthy.
And I know this is something that's associated with long COVID, where people are having this chronic inflammation. Why is that? What's the connection there?
Usually with long COVID, it could be one of many things. One is it started the inflammation going because it was an infection. So infection is one of the most common causes of inflammation in the body. When you have something that's infecting your cells, your body will try to beat it. It'll try to fend it off. It'll try to fight it. Inflammation naturally kicks in. Inflammation will help your body fight it. Problem is, when an infection lasts for a prolonged period of time, you get so much inflammation going on in the body, it becomes pathologic or bad or detrimental. Long COVID is you could possibly have low levels of the virus that are undetectable, that are still in your system that your body never really fought off. Or long COVID could have started the process of inflammation, and even though you wiped out the virus, your body didn't stop that inflammation cycle from continuing. Also, unfortunately, COVID can actually make underlying pathologies worse. So for instance, if you had mild pre-diabetes or mild diabetes, and then you got COVID, afterwards the COVID goes away, but your diabetes got worse. So a major underlying pathology or a major underlying disease or problem amplified, put it like with steroids, and now it's raging in your body and you didn't even realize it.
So is this something you're encountering in your own practice, where you're using functional medicine, integrative medicine to help patients lose weight? Are you seeing the side effects of the fallout of the pandemic in patients that you...
Absolutely. It's a very high percentage of people who are coming in and saying, you know what, after the pandemic, after I had COVID, after I had all these vaccines, now I have 25 pounds on me I can't get rid of. we're seeing it so commonly, and when we do an investigation and a workup, we realize they got a lot of inflammation going on in their body that they didn't realize. So they feel like, oh, I'm over COVID, but now I feel more tired, I feel like I don't have as much get up and go, and I have more weight on my body I can't get rid of. And they don't realize that they come in, that there's some underlying things that they didn't address, and mostly it's because they got inflammation going on in their body that they need to get rid of.
To see that full interview and others on how to optimize health, go to ept.ms/vital signs. Vital Signs offers general health information not intended as medical diagnosis or advice. Please consult your doctor before undertaking a new health regimen.
20 years ago, Hurricane Katrina made landfall in southeast Louisiana. What followed was one of the costliest natural disasters in U.S. history, claiming nearly 1,400 lives. NTD's David Lamb was in New Orleans Friday, where local organizations marked the 20th anniversary of the storm.
It's a solemn milestone for communities impacted by Hurricane Katrina. 20 years have passed since the southern U.S. was hit by the deadly storm. New Orleans was one of the cities impacted by Katrina and had the most deaths. 80% of the city was flooded after the levee system failed. Friday's events, which included a commemorative march, honored those who lost their lives.
And we know that on this day, 20 years ago, August 29, 2025, our city and our lives were forever changed. But 20 years later, we stand and we sit here united. We're not united in faith, but united in real purpose. And it's been because of each and every one of us that are here, that are throughout the city of New Orleans, who made sure that every single one of those 20 years later, New Orleans is still here, New Orleans still stands, and New Orleans is truly positioned.
On Thursday, the Ella Project, a nonprofit that provides legal assistance to artists, hosted a discussion at the New Orleans Jazz Museum where panelists and locals came together. They expressed concerns about the preservation of local culture and the cost of rebuilt housing.
It's not going to last much longer if we continue going down that road. We have to change that. A lot of houses, since they come back and they fixed them, the rent is too high.
At the time right after Katrina, many folks were saying that, New Orleans isn't coming back, that the city's dead, there's no reason to rebuild. But New Orleanians knew that, no, we're going to rebuild. 20 years after Katrina, it's vibrant, it's happening. New Orleans is resilient, and we're going to keep moving forward.
Back in late August 2005, Hurricane Katrina struck the Gulf Coast. After first making landfall in Florida, Katrina intensified before hitting Louisiana on August 29th as a Category 3 hurricane. Katrina caused nearly 1,400 deaths and over $100 billion in damages.
You're everything I want, everything I need. This love's what I want it to be.
I mean, us as New Orleans, we struggle and we fight and we come up on top.
Folks told me the city has been through a lot, but people still love the area and call it their home. And we can see their resilience in the commemoration each year. In New Orleans, Louisiana, David Lamb, NTD News.
Coming up, a special look at the 10th NTD International Chinese Vocal Competition. This weekend, the sound of traditional bel canto music is resonating through New York City's Kaufman Music Center. And thousands gather in Lithuania's capital for all things Corgi. Watch to see if a Corgi named Mango can win this year's race and who's going to emerge as best dressed. That and more in just a minute after this quick break.
£6 prescription glasses from Select Specs are always great value. There are no offer codes or first-time customers only. Anyone can buy them, anytime. And you can upgrade to Select Specs Express for next day delivery. And with deferred payments, you can spread the cost.
See now, pay later with Select Specs £6 specs. Next day delivery and deferred payment options available at selectspecs.com/£6.
With almost 4 decades in the spotlight, Cindy Crawford has never lost her stunning glow. With her gorgeous, age-defying skin, US Weekly says, whatever she's doing, it's clearly working. How does her skin still look firm, smooth, and youthful at 59? It's meaningful beauty. And now, with new advanced formulas, it's better than ever, delivering our age-defying ingredients even deeper into the skin to fight wrinkles where they begin. Just wait until you see the difference meaningful beauty can make for you.
Instant hydration, instant plumping. My skin looks amazing.
What I'm most proud of is over 5 million women have trusted Meaningful Beauty, and they're getting great results, and I get that feedback from them in airports, supermarkets, walking down the street, and I love it.
And today, we are celebrating 20 years of Meaningful Beauty with a brand new offer you don't want to miss. You can get the entire advanced Meaningful Beauty system with all 5 age-defying super treatments. And when you order today, you'll receive our Targeted Treatment Duo, a $128 value free. Introducing the Wrinkle Smoothing Capsules to target crow's feet, forehead lines, and lines around your mouth. Plus, you'll also get the new Skin Renewing Facial Tool with heat, massage, and red light to boost the absorption of the wrinkle smoothing capsules and reduce the appearance of puffiness. The Skin Renewing Facial Tool and the Wrinkle Smoothing Capsules together create Meaningful Beauty's amazing Targeted Treatment Duo.
This plus this equals incredible results.
Get all this, a $300 value for just $49.95. But you must act quickly. Results guaranteed or your money back.
If you haven't tried Meaningful Beauty yet, this new offer is something you don't want to miss.
This special offer is not available in any store, so don't wait. Scan the code, call the number below, or go to meaningfulbeauty.com right now.
Save big at Mathis Home with Labor Day deals in every department. Check out their new arrivals and save big on the latest living rooms. This reclining sofa is a great example of their unbeatable prices. It's just $449. Where else can you find a sofa with 2 built-in recliners for just $449? With their incredible selection, you're sure to find the sofa just right for you. Plus, they're all in stock so you can take it home today or get it delivered absolutely free. Hurry in, these deals won't last long. Now through Labor Day, only at Mathis Home.
Welcome back. I'm Tiffany Meyer. As the movie Jaws celebrates its 50th year since its debut on the silver screen, some real-life sharks may have to learn how to nibble their food in the future. A just-published study finds that water with an increased level of acid can cause problems for shark teeth. Researchers at Heinrich Heine University studied 600 shark teeth that were naturally shed and placed them in water with different pH levels. More damage was discovered on the teeth placed in water with a higher acidic level. Researchers say that this could eventually result in changes in the way sharks digest food. According to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, seawater has become 30% more acidic over the past 2 centuries. That could affect many ocean species and ecosystems. Staying out at sea, daring rescue saves a pilot after a crash in the open ocean. Plus, a rare creature considered 1 in 2 million makes a dazzling entrance. Take a look.
Watch rescuers pull a pilot from an ocean plane crash they say he survived in a tiny pocket of air in the submerged craft. Responders in the town of Oak Island, North Carolina were dispatched to the plane after they say it experienced engine failure and made an emergency landing in the Atlantic Ocean. They were greeted feet first by the pilot, whom they say had survived inside a small pocket of air in the back of the aircraft's cabin before being pulled out of the windshield and taken back to shore. Video of the plane being towed back in was later shared online. And from a coastal ocean rescue to a deep ocean double rescue. Newly shared U.S. Coast Guard video shows a carefully coordinated operation to pull 2 different passengers suffering serious medical emergencies from the same cruise ship sailing some 145 nautical miles off the coast of Washington. Multiple helicopters were sent from both U.S. and Canadian units to the ship in open waters, where simultaneous hoist operations carefully extracted the ailing passengers to 2 different choppers before transferring them to medical facilities on shore for treatment. Finally, from tense ocean rescues to an eye-opening ocean discovery. Say hello to Neptune, an incredibly rare electric blue lobster that recently moved in at Northeastern University's Marine Science Center. They say this surreal cerulean crustacean was snagged in July by a lobsterman who, along with a local educator, donated Neptune to the university after realizing just how rare it is. Researchers say lobsters sporting a shell this vibrantly blue are about a 1 in 2 million occurrence, which makes Neptune truly out of this world.
NTD's 10th International Chinese Vocal Competition has just wrapped up in New York. After 3 days of soaring performances, the winners have been announced. NTD's Sherry Ning reports.
From Puccini to Chinese art songs, the sound of bel canto filled New York City's Kaufman Music Center. Contestants from around the world came together to showcase traditional vocal arts rooted in purity, authenticity, goodness, and beauty.
This helped me to verify what is more than what is tradition and what I want to absorb from the world and from the history, from the modern world. I think it purifies me because every time when you stand on the stage, you show everything of yourself, your inner heart, your technique.
Bel canto, Italian for beautiful singing, is a traditional vocal technique emphasizing purity of tone, smooth phrasing, and precise control. It forms the foundation of Western opera arias and Chinese art songs, both required in this competition. 1 gold, 3 silvers, 2 bronzes, and 4 honorable mentions were presented at the awards ceremony. The gold medal went to Song Ling Shi, a tenor from Vietnam.
Và cảm thấy rất vinh dự khi cầm cái giải vàng này trong tay.
Holding this gold award trophy in my hands, I feel immense pride and honor. It represents the highest glory pursued by all the singers who took part in today's competition. As I lift the trophy today, my heart is filled with pride and gratitude.
Audience members say the level of artistry on display rivaled the world's top stages.
When you have such a competition, you want to get the best, but actually you did get the best. And I'm a regular patron of the opera, of the Metropolitan Opera. And I was thinking as I was listening to the contestants that I hope the opera has a scout because, they could recruit anybody here for their productions.
Vocalists with the world-renowned Shen Yun Performing Arts served on the panel of judges. American opera legend Frederica von Stade also offered contestants special guidance in the master class.
The power of the human voice to convey love and kindness and goodness and strength and beauty is just amazing, and we need it in our world right now, which is so upside down.
This prestigious competition is part of NTD's International Cultural and Arts Series. The 2025 NTD International Classical Chinese Dance Competition will take place September 11th to 14th. We'll bring you coverage of that event as well. Reporting from New York, Sherry Ning, NTD News.
And you might associate these cute Welsh Corgis with the British royal family, but did you know this breed is also known for racing? Well, thousands gathered in the Lithuanian capital's largest park this weekend to watch a host of Corgi contests.
So this is a mango, like a fruit mango, and we are participating second time in Corgi race 2025. Last year we didn't manage to end the race perfectly. He knows what he did and he is really proud of himself, so to the next year.
Mango came out in front to win the solo race, much to the delight of his owners. As they said last year, Mango wasn't able to finish the race despite training every day. Perhaps this year's method of coming in sans training was the secret to victory. Over 100 furballs and their owners participated in Corgi Universe, from solo racing to costume challenges and group racing. A Corgi named Amigo was crowned the winner of the costume contest, sporting a factory-themed costume complete with 2 tiny chimneys and fur factory lettering. The Corgi race Illinois started as a small gathering when COVID regulations were relaxed in 2020. It has since become an international phenomenon with over 100 registrations. The event culminated Sunday with the so-called World Corgi Meetup, where dogs in Lithuania were connected via a live broadcast with their peers in the United States, Ireland, and Poland. Who knew such little legs held such big dreams? And that's all for today's news. For round-the-clock coverage, visit us at ntd.com/live or download our NTD app. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Tiffany Meyer. Good night.